So, as I was walking to the stage, I was wondering, why is it always easier to talk about emotions when there's more women in the room? Is it still because some men, and of course some women, associate emotions with weakness? Perhaps. Something to think about. But the truth is, we should all be talking about the impact that emotions have in our lives. Did you know that every year, more people die of suicide than war and homicide combined? This means, according to the United Nations, that every 40 seconds, in less than a minute, someone takes their own life. Even Plato, one of the world's greatest philosophers, 2,000 years ago, 2,000 years back, he was already pondering on the impact that emotions have in us. So what is it that still in the 21st century, we're not capable about being honest about how we feel and how uncomfortable emotions make us behave? I've been a journalist for over a decade now, a bit more. But throughout my career, I got to know hundreds and hundreds of women that, just like myself, had gone through strained emotional hardship. And I'm sure like many of you here. And as a consequence, they were on the verge of suicide, addicted to something, food or social media, just to name a few. They did things they ultimately regret, divorced the person they loved the most, or ended up with them. Because they were so caught up and immersed in their own pain, they pushed their loved ones away. Don't worry, I'm not here to talk only about the grim outcome. I'm also here to talk about the root cause and how is it that we can prevent future pain. Now, it all begins when you are the most vulnerable. When is that? In your alone time, when you're talking to yourself. And it's this self-destructive voice that ends up making you feel sad, anxious, depressed, angry. This emotional alter ego that we all have. Every single person in this room has it. But we're afraid to talk about. Or we're embarrassed to talk about. Our emotional bitch. And if you haven't met her, or you haven't come across her, or you deny it, trust me, he sounds somewhat like this. He's not texting. How do you know? Well, I don't really know, but I can feel it. He's not texting. He's seeing someone else. So I'm going to break up with him before he breaks up with me. I'm fat. I hate my thighs. I hate my stomach. I hate my underarm. Who is going to love me looking like this? I'm too successful. Men will always feel intimidated by me. Who in their right mind is going to love someone that makes more money than him? She got promoted. Not because she's really good at what she does, but because she's pretty. Does it sound familiar? Because of your smile, I can see it. Maybe you come across your emotional bitch every once in a while. Maybe weekly. Maybe daily. Now that I'm standing here before you, I guess I have to be honest. And at one point in my life, I was totally possessed by her. And she took control over my life, I remember. I remember exactly when. When in my 20s, I was in this relationship. And 2 years in, I found out in the most grotesque way that my boyfriend at the time was married. Then and there, I had the opportunity to walk away, to leave that guy behind. But no. What did I do? I listened to my emotional bitch, and trust me when I say she was charged with rage, ego, and fear. Don't live in. Don't you live in, Rebeka. How are you going to live without this guy? No one ever will love you this way. You will never find love again. I mean, yes, he's a cheater and a liar, but he can change for you. You can make him clean. Well, guess what? He didn't change one bit. And I only ended up living in an unfaithful, toxic, emotionally abusive, and codependent relationship. Basically, behaving like a chicken without a head. But be aware, because you don't necessarily have to go through that extreme emotional situation or behave like a chicken without a head for you to know that your emotional bitch is taking control. She can come knocking in your head at any time, particularly, and listen to this, particularly when you're uncomfortable, in your alone time. A couple of months back, a friend of mine, actually a very dear friend of mine, she was dating this guy. And from what I know, they were crazy over each other. But one day, he didn't reply for about 6 to 8 hours. Let's say 6 hours. And because of her past pain and her past experience with men, she thought she was being played. What did she do? She couldn't control her uncomfortable emotions, so she texted the guy and basically told him to, let's say she broke up with him. And when she figured out that the guy was not only not playing with her, but he was on a flight on his way to Europe because of work, she tried to apologize. But it was too late. You see, the guy had already made up his mind and said to her, I cannot deal with this type of behavior or this level of insecurity. I mean, think about it. For something so stupid as not hearing back from a guy in 6 hours, she altered her future. Every decision we make today has a future impact. She allowed her uncomfortable emotions to take over, and she made a decision based on an idea. On an idea. She didn't face the facts. Listen to this. Our thoughts trigger our emotions. And this happens in a half of a second. That's why the order, first thought, then emotion, may not seem obvious to you. So you want your decisions to be taken by your emotional bitch, or you want your decisions to be taken by an emotional conscious self? If you're like me, which I think you are, and we all want to live in peace, then you want your emotional conscious self to be taking the decisions for you. And if that's the case, then you need to be aware of the 3 pillars of emotional consciousness. First pillar, you need to be honest. And this is not about lying or not lying. This is about truly knowing what you want and being able to express it in the right way, in the right manner, in a healthy manner. Maybe you say you're happy with your marriage and you're truly not. You say you want to have kids and you don't want to, but you feel pressured by society. You are thinking about taking that job that pays more, knowing in your heart you really don't want to take that career path. The only way you can align yourself is by spending some time in silence. That's the only way you will get to know yourself. You can fool others. You can put on a mask and make them believe whatever you want to make them believe. But you can never, never, never fool your heart. Second pillar. Stop being a victim. Just stop. When we choose to play the role of a victim in this life, we'd rather live in agony than overcome it. Why? Because that's the feeling we're familiarized with. That's the feeling we know. Who would you be if you weren't to be a victim? It's scary. You would have to be yourself, not the victim. One of my favorite authors, Chuck Phillips, says, let's say someone kidnaps you and drops you in the middle of the desert. Although it's not your fault, of course, to be kidnapped and taken into the middle of the desert. It's still 100% your responsibility to get yourself out of that desert. The moment you decide to stop playing the role of a victim, that moment, miracle will appear before you. That moment, you will begin to heal. Third pillar, you are not your mistakes. Learn to forgive yourself and others. We all make mistakes. It's part of who we are. It's part of human nature. Everyone in this room has made mistakes. And with this, I'm not saying go ahead and make the same mistake over and over and over again. Right? That would be insanity. Gandhi said, if freedom doesn't include the freedom to make mistakes, then freedom is not worth having. All I'm saying with this is you cannot be solely defined by something that happened already. Doesn't matter how much time and energy and effort you put into it, it cannot be altered. So, you cannot change the past, but you can change, guess what? How you choose to feel today. And if today you decide to live with resentment, it's your choice and only yours to do so. Everything you want in life requires practice, right? You want a toned body, you want to be fit, you need to practice, you need to exercise. The same with peace. You want peace in your life, you need to practice emotional consciousness. It's that simple. And it's not something that will take you 3 years or even 6 months. I managed to get emotional consciousness in 2 weeks. You just have to be aware that your thoughts will trigger emotions. Just decide to be aware. After 3 years of research and writing a book, this is how I managed to control my emotional pitch. And if I hadn't done so, I would have studied. I would have stayed with the wrong guy. I would have taken the wrong job. I would have never moved to the United States. Just in case you didn't hear that. And most definitely, I wouldn't have been ready to love and receive love. And I received love from the most wonderful man I know, which is my husband. I shaped the life I wanted, I promise, by being in control of my thoughts and therefore my emotions. Trust me, so can you. Take control of your emotions. Take control of your life.